I just wanted to say, like, to give people an idea of where these talking heads came from. You and I have known each other for almost 20 years, and we've had lots of conversations about deep and personal topics. And I've been telling you about this hobby about talking to people and recording it, and you suggested this topic. Um, I don't know, do you have anything you want to add about that?
Yes. So yeah, so it's a, it is a topic that I feel conflicted about,
Mm-hmm.
and you of course know what I mean, what I say by that, and it's also not something that I go around advertising,
Right.
but
In some way,
I've
this is a personal conversation made public.
yeah, in a
Like
way,
you wouldn't share this with some random person normally.
of course, but you're
Yeah.
not a random person, and
Yeah.
uh, and
Yeah.
I and I trust you. And the thing also is that I appreciate your method, and we've talked off the, you know, off Zoom, just on the phone, and I've benefited from you using the method. So in general, that all helps me to kind of work up the courage to get over the threshold, even though I feel a little bit conflicted about it, to talk about it.
All right. Great. Great.
Okay. So I believe that it's possible to guess a person's zodiac sign or astrological sign with better than chance success rate.
Okay. When you say people can guess this, anyone or certain trained professionals or
Neither. It's like I'm saying it's possible, just like it's possible to ride a motorcycle.
uh-huh. That so there
Um,
are some people who can do this.
there are some people who can do this. Well, but it's not exactly the same, um, because I don't know people who can do this, and I don't think that there's training that helps you do this. It's just based on my personal experience.
Do you think you can do this?
Um, no, I don't, especially because um, if it's a performance on the spot, like if I'm asked to perform on the spot, I cannot do this. So then,
I feel like there's something underneath this that you're not saying.
correct, yes, because the belief comes from me occasionally having some feeling
Okay.
about what the other person's astrological sign is, and it's not something that I can force or that I can kind of turn on. It's not like a detector, switch that exists in me, and
Hmm.
I turn it on, and then we know what the other person's zodiac sign is.
So if I can try to restate this, see if you agree with what I'm saying. Um, it sounds like you're making the claim that sometimes you can predict people's zodiac signs. Is that correct?
Yes,
Are you
and it may
comfortable with
sound very. Hmm?
Are you comfortable with the way that I stated it?
Yes, yes. But yeah, I would even say it a little bit less stronger than that. Nowadays, I think that sometimes is probably closer to never. But I'm more. The reason why I'm so, um, let's say, um, why I think this is interesting,
Hmm.
and it may not be interesting to you, but the reason why I think it is interesting is because of just how weird and strange it is. That
So what makes it weird?
I can think of no. I can try to come up with some, you know, tortured explanations
Like a
of
mechanism.
how why it might be so, why this might be true. Because for this to happen, there has to be again some sort of a correlation between another person's zodiac sign and what I'm perceiving about them,
Yeah.
and how I perceive them.
Yeah.
And that's just very strange. That's there's absolutely no scientific basis to this. And furthermore, there are there were attempts to let's say try
Document.
to find some objective commonalities, in personality and stuff like that. So it's hard to accept, and that's why I find it interesting.
So just so that you hear your own words back, you sort of feel of two ways about this. You believe it, but at the same time you think that it's weird because you
Yes.
can't imagine how it's possible.
Correct.
Okay.
I can't imagine a
mechanism.
process
Process,
through
yeah.
which this is possible. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think we've established what your belief is. So how confident are you that at times in the past you have been able to do this, or that others couldn't do this sometimes?
About 75%.
75% confident. Okay.
Yes.
So just to make sure we're clear, on a scale from 0 to 100, where 50 is you don't know.
No. 50 would still, no. 0 would be like a base position where it's not possible. There is no correlation. Okay.
Yes, 0 is it definitely is not true.
Correct. 0
100
is
is
definitely not
definitely true.
Correct.
And you can't be mistaken, right? 0 is you can't be mistaken that it's not true, and 100 is that you can't be mistaken that it is true.
Yes.
And 50 would be, I guess I would say 50 would be I don't know.
So the only reason why and I'm sorry I interrupted, but the only reason why I didn't like this I don't know is because I find that intellectually dishonest. I don't think that anyone would really be able to claim complete ignorance and say, well, I don't know, maybe there is something that makes this possible.
Let me give you a good example of when I think 50-50 makes sense. So let's say someone had never heard of zodiac signs, hadn't really grown up thinking about them, and one day their friend told them, hey, I can predict the month that you were born, or I heard that people can do this. I feel like that person might say, maybe I haven't really thought about it before. I'm at 50-50.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, I would find that to be intellectually dishonest, because let's assume we're not talking about zodiac. If you told me I can predict day of the week that you were born,
okay,
I wouldn't go maybe, I don't know. I would go, really?
You'd be skeptical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I cannot imagine any physical process through which you can not physical, any process through which you can detect this, unless you're cheating, unless you looked at my birth certificate. And
so this is really interesting. So what I'm hearing you say is you feel like the default position for this kind of idea, this kind of claim, would actually be probably not.
Correct.
You're kind of saying that without a mechanism, without a potential mechanism, there's really no reason to even give it 50-50.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just Just trying to make sure that we're on the same page about all this, right?
Yes. And I think the example with the day of the week is a good example, because if you told me that you can guess the day of the week I was born without knowing my birth date,
Yeah.
my answer would be not 50%. My answer would be like, well, I'm 1% confident that you can do this.
1%. What if I told
No,
you?
no, 1%. I'm 1% confident. So I'm 99% confident that you cannot guess.
Yeah. No, you're at 1 on the scale from 0 to 100.
Correct. And by the way, when I mean guess the day of the week, I don't mean just guess and you have 1 out of 7 chance. I'm saying
Guess
better
and get
than
it.
chance.
Yeah.
You have to get it better than chance. It has to be better than chance.
Yeah. Let's try the flip of this hypothetical.
Okay.
What if I told you I can guess the year people are born?
So that's a different one, because you can
It
see
is.
how old I am. You can see
It is.
something about,
How much credence would you give me as the default position if I made that claim? Where would you be in the scale? Because you can imagine a mechanism through which I could guess age.
Yes. Yeah, probably still not 50%. Still probably not 50%. But I would say there's 30% chance that you have honed your skills in estimating how old people are without counting their teeth or something like that.
So just to check here, you'd be at 30% if I said I can guess your birth year, but you're at 75% that there exist people who can guess birth month.
Well, there's ranges in the zodiac signs.
Is that a big distinction for you? It's not a good shorthand for me to say month?
I'm just trying to be precise. It doesn't really matter to me.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand, I heard you say that if someone came to you and said that they can predict birth day of the week, you would be quite skeptical, and you'd be at maybe 1%. And if someone came to you and said that they could predict birth year, you'd be less skeptical, and you'd say maybe 30%.
Yes.
But your original view about predicting birth month or zodiac sign is at 75%. So what's the difference? What gets you up to 75 from that 30?
Well, but I want to just make one clarification.
Okay.
Because you started by saying if someone came and said, I can guess this.
So is the difference is you?
No. Let me just clarify. So it's not 75%. If someone came and said, I can guess your zodiac sign, I wouldn't be 75% confident that they can really do this.
Okay.
I would be maybe less than that.
Okay, less than 30.
Well, maybe let's say, less than 30. I don't know. I mean, the point is, I'm claiming it's possible to do this. And because I don't know other people who can do this, because I've not found anybody else who can do this, I would still have some skepticism about it. So, but it would not be like the day of the week. I would be more confident.
Somewhere between 1 and 30?
Yeah, somewhere between 1 and 30. Yeah. I mean, it depends also on who the person is and if I know anything more about them, because there's swindlers.
Sure. Okay. So can we use as a shorthand for this idea, to make it more concrete, that there exist people who can do this, that you could do this?
Again, I like how we phrased it before, because I could do it sometimes in the past. So I'm.
So that at some points in the past you could.
Yes,
you could do this.
I like the framing of it's possible to do it with the better than chance success rate.
my concern about that is that it being quite vague, it allows for us to, let's say, test 1 million people, and then the people who randomly do well, we say these people are good at it. Do you know what I mean by that?
I do.
So would that really confirm your belief, that like the belief that you really have that some people have good luck?
No, I mean, obviously you can predict. I mean, there are people who win lotteries, right? So, but
There's
that doesn't
people
mean
who've won lotteries multiple times.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I
I
mean,
wonder if that scratches your itch. Is what I'm trying to get to a point where it's a claim that we can sort of both be happy with, because I feel like that might not actually scratch your itch. Because
right.
sure, I think we can all admit that there are people who are lucky.
Yes.
If we test, there's 7 billion people on the planet.
Right. And there's always going to be luckiest among the lucky, and you can find some who are luckiest among the lucky. And it doesn't quite jibe with what I'm saying, because again, it's based on personal experience,
right?
Not based on statistical analysis of billion people trying to guess.
So that's why I'm really trying to make it a really concrete claim and say that in the past you could do this.
In the past, there have been instances when I could have done this. Yes.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll come back to it to try to tighten it up, but maybe that's okay.
So sorry that it's not as interesting to put it that way.
Well, yeah, it's important to be careful about the claim, because I'm worried that it might be trivially satisfied, and then you're that's not really what you're after.
Correct.
Because I think your interest in this, in not understanding the mechanism, isn't that some people are lucky. It's that there must be some mechanism that you're not aware of.
So, well, yes. This is now drawing conclusions from it, but yes, this is why it's so interesting to me, because I'm not aware of any mechanism, and then this makes me really kind of question this, including my own belief.
Yeah.
Hence, 75. Yes.
At the risk of going too much into math or anything, statistics, what would satisfy you? What would make you more confident than 75%? Like, what kinds of things could you do or discover that would make you more than 75% confident? And if you want to, let's go into the statistics. If that's what would make you more confident. If it's something else, let's talk about that.
Well, certainly one thing that would make me more confident is if it had any scientific studies behind it, and those found that it's possible to do it. And again, not to say everybody can ride motorcycle, but let's say if there were scientific studies done first, maybe some research about how to train people to be able to do that, and then
that there exists some people who can sometimes ride motorcycles. Yeah.
Yes.
Unicycles. Yeah. We call them unicycles.
Unicycles.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's funny. I just saw this recently. I know. In Britain they call them monocycles as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But okay. So if there were studies showing that sometimes people can do this,
yes,
that would make you more confident.
Absolutely. Yes.
What if we identified a person who, right, we tested them, and they did really well. They did better than chance on a pretty good test. And then we tested them again, and they didn't do better than chance. How would that affect your confidence?
It doesn't.
So
that's me.
Because that's you.
Yes.
So do you think the existence of such an individual would bring you above 75?
Well,
Because
yes,
let's say we wrote a study about his performance, and then someone came in to redo the study to test whether the study was good, and they failed to find.
But they use the same subject.
But they use the same subject. Yeah.
Now you're saying they use the same subject. Yes. So it would still bring my confidence. Wait. So say it again.
So let's say we found somebody who lived in some village, in a town far away, and he claimed he could do this, and so we brought him into a laboratory and we tested him, and he did better than chance. And then somebody said, "Hey," and that would bring you up, right? That would bring you above 75. Is that correct?
Yes.
Make you more confident.
Yes.
And then someone said, "Hey, we should redo the study because this is wild. This is
Right.
kind of thing. It's hard to believe. So let's test him again on a different day of the week. Maybe we're worried about something that happened. Maybe his wife was in the room. Maybe something like that. And they tested him again, and he failed to do better than chance. Would that bring you back down to 75? Would you be above 75 still? Like, what would that do?
So it would bring me back down to 75, probably. Yeah.
What I'm getting at is because part of your claim is can sometimes do this. Why wouldn't you stay above 75%?
That's a good question.
Because maybe, he wasn't feeling it that day.
So we started this by me saying what would increase my confidence is some scientific study. And as far as scientific studies go, I wouldn't say that this is a scientific study. It would still maybe leave open some questions, but at this point, I think it would be more of a, this casts a doubt on everything, and I would have to discount, results of such a scientific finding.
What if this person said, I just wasn't in the mood that day?
Well, if the person said it before they did a study, that would be different. That would make a difference for me. Like if the person said, look, I'm not feeling it now. I mean, even at the moment when he or she has to make the prediction, if they say, I'm not feeling it, so I'm not sure this is going to be better than chance. That would be different. Might still raise the questions. Was there some funky business going on? The first time around. So
what if he had said that during the first trial, and then did better than chance? Would you similarly discount the study? Right? So he says, I'm really not feeling it today, and then he gets 9 out of 10.
During the first study?
During the first study, yeah. Maybe he always says, I'm not feeling it.
Then, yeah, then there's no difference between the first and the second study, so that would also discount it.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that some sort of study, ideally a reproducible study,
Yep. Yes.
would increase your confidence.
Yes.
And the reproducibility seems important to you. That if the person making the claim that they can do this, if they actually fail to be able to do this later, um, that it might not even budge your confidence above 75.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What could make you less confident in this belief? What is something that could bring you below 75?
Um, so I guess if I so here's a possibility which I've
Okay.
considered.
Okay.
Um, if I have misremembered things somehow, and I don't mean just plain, I dreamed up, although that's a possibility. I mean, everything could be a dream. This conversation could be a dream.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
Or a nightmare for some.
yeah. Well, no, just a little bit of a stage fright kind of in a dream,
Okay.
not nightmare. It's okay. Um, so if, for example, there were situations where I had felt that I remember now that I had felt equally confident,
Yeah.
equally like, man, I have a really strong feeling that person is Aries, for example, and
Mm-hmm.
then it turned out that they weren't. Um, and if that happened again enough times so that it would discount, the situations when I had the strong
Yeah.
feeling, then obviously that would bring my confidence way down.
Do you think it's possible that you've forgotten
It's
examples like
so,
that?
so to some extent, I think it is possible. Let me put it this way. In general, I think it's more interesting when I guess things right.
Mm.
And therefore, I'm more likely to remember those instances when I guessed right.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so that there are perhaps some instances when I did this and I don't remember because I didn't guess right, and it was just okay. I tried, and I forgot about it.
Right.
I guess it would be. I guess that would be that's a reason why it's one of the reasons why it's not.
Plausible.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
it's
imagine. Yeah.
why I'm not at 99% or 90%,
Mm.
but at 75%.
So let me ask you something. This is a little pointed. So, you know, hopefully it lands right, but do you think it's more likely that you've forgotten these examples or that you really could do this thing?
I think it's unlikely that I have forgotten the examples of having a strong feeling and not getting it right. But again, 75%.
Mm. So so the way that you feel is that it's actually more likely that you can predict these things than you've forgotten the times that you were wrong. Is that
Not just
accurate?
that I've forgotten the times that I was wrong. Like I said, I have. So maybe this needs a little bit of an explanation.
Okay. Okay.
I've tried to test this,
Okay.
to actually do this at will.
Okay.
And that's the critical part. Because when I tried to test it and to guess someone's zodiac sign at will, it was, all over the place. I would sometimes guess, I would sometimes not guess, and so on.
Yeah.
But so, and there are many situations like that, and I'm readily admitting that I don't remember all of them, but that there were many. But the reason why I make a distinction is because I was trying to do it at will,
Yeah.
as opposed to simply it coming to me and kind of like through whatever process of associations, osmosis, whatever, I was able to, it just came to me and I had this feeling and I said, okay, so I'm going to guess now. And then it turned out right. And those scenarios when I had that strong feeling, so the question is, how likely is it that I've forgotten all those scenarios when I had that strong feeling and not be right? That's unlikely. That's by my estimate. So again, I know this is probably not very interesting because it's personal experience, but you've asked me about my personal belief.
No, yeah, I think this is super interesting. So it sounds like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like a lot of your confidence is coming from personal experience.
It's all coming from my personal experience.
Okay, it's all coming from personal experience.
Yes.
Is that true? I mean, I feel like you also are imagining others can do this, presumably because you've heard of this.
Well, I'm not because I've heard of them, but simply because if I'm a human and this
Okay.
happened to me, I mean, I'm guessing other humans also are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially all of your confidence is coming from personal experience.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I've got a couple of ideas of things to talk through. Imagine somebody you know, kind of in passing. You don't know them very well. They come up to you and they say that they can predict the day of the week someone was born. Okay, or you're imagining some of this person talking to you at the water cooler or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna lay out the scenario. So he says, yeah, I've been able to do this for a while. It doesn't always work, but sometimes I feel like it's gonna work, and then it works. Sometimes I don't feel very strongly about it, and then it doesn't always work. But when I feel like it's going to work, it works most of the time. What would you say to that person? Maybe not what would you would say, but what would you think about that person's belief?
Well, I think they should talk to Chucky to examine that belief.
So this is a pretty small distance, right, between this hypothetical and your thing, but I'm imagining you to imagine someone else coming to you with this belief.
Yeah, I mean, it's so what's the question? I've imagined.
What would you think about this claim? Do you think it's more or less likely that he's forgotten the times he was wrong?
It would be probably an information that I would store somewhere and try not to make anything out of it, because I don't think this person, like if he said that and then said, and now let's bet $1,000, that I can do
You'd take the bet.
No. I would wonder, what are the ways in which he can, cheat me out of that $1,000.
Let's say that you two agree on a protocol that's as fair as you want. Right? It's a person, you get 10, 20, 30 people to come into this room. He's never met them. You get to pick the people. However you want to make it fair, would you then take the bet?
But we have to be careful here.
Okay.
He's saying I can sometimes do it, which means I cannot force him to do it at will.
Do you
and
think
this goes back to our studies, if it's...
Do you think this feeling is based on the person, or like based on the time of the month that it currently is, the time of the year?
You're talking about my feeling now, or that?
Sure. Yeah. Is your feeling based on the particular person, or is it based on, like in the fall it's stronger, or when you're feeling hungry it's worse?
Um, I don't know. So
Okay.
if you're asking me to guess what could make this feeling arise, I don't know. I mean,
Well,
it,
then how about this? Let's discuss what a proper protocol would look like. So, would it be fair for me to bring in 30 people that you've never met? And how about this? How about you get to decide whether this person counts or not? So, we march them across the stage one by one, and I ask you, Miro, do you want to guess this one? And you can either say yes or no.
so
Would that be fair?
that would certainly be fair to me. The problem is I've tried to do something similar
Okay.
and I've given up very quickly because, let me put it this way. If it's a kind of a situation that happens very rarely,
Okay.
I would actually have to spend another lifetime, in other words, to get to the point when I have these strong feelings.
So
Because
maybe I'm missing something, but if that's the case, then
okay,
how did you get as confident as you are now?
based on the strength of the feeling that I had prior to me making a guess.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So could we not do that as part of the study? So not only do you say yes or no, I want to guess this person, but you say I'm at 85% confident, I'm at 99% confident this person's an Aries. And then we
Yeah.
look at that we look at the relationship between your confidence and your accuracy.
Well, there wouldn't be a need to look at the relationship between the confidence and the accuracy. The question would just be, is this better than chance or not? Anytime this is what I tried to do, right? Anytime I'm willing to make a guess, I would then basically say, okay, I'm making a guess, but in the sum total, the question would be, is this better than chance or not?
So maybe I misheard, but I heard you saying that in your personal life that you got more information from looking at the strength of the feeling that comes as to how confident you are that you can guess. And so I was saying, well, we could do the same in the statistical test. So like when you're at I'm not sure, when you're at 50%, there shouldn't be much of a correlation. And as you get more confident, as that feeling grows, you should be more and more accurate. Right? So like, if you said, yeah, I'm feeling the feeling pretty well versus, oh, this was a real strong one.
Okay.
Right?
I
That's
think that
more,
would be fair.
I guess I heard that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought I heard you say that.
Yes. No. Again, I guess that would be fair.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Sure.
Most the main reason why I have this belief, which is at again 75%, but the main reason is because of not a lot of instances. There's been maybe 3 instances that I vividly remember of having a really strong feeling and then guessing right. I can also remember the instances when I had
Right.
not a
Not a
strong
strong
feeling,
feeling.
as you say, right? Maybe I'm not very confident, and I thought, well, it could be that, but I did nothing, and then later on, it turns out that my guess was right, my internal feeling was right, but that doesn't help me move my confidence. What really makes me at my confidence is those few instances when I had the very strong, whatever you want to call it, premonition.
Okay. So So let's stick with the experiment idea just a little bit longer.
Okay.
So I'm willing to march as many people across the stage as you want. You can, talk to them. What I don't know, what things are important to you, whether you need to know about them or whether you can do it by looks, or maybe you need to hear them speak, or maybe you don't know.
I don't either know.
Yeah. But whatever you're comfortable with, you can't ask them when were you born, but otherwise
Right.
you can talk about, what do you do, that kind of thing. And I'm willing to do this 1,000 times, right? And maybe there's 3 in 1,000. Do you think that's maybe about right? That you might have this feeling 3 in 1,000 times?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. But I'm just trying to get an idea of something we could do that you could be comfortable with. Would you be comfortable with that idea? Would that be a good test? And we go through the first 1,000, and you said, I really wasn't feeling it. I said, well, let's bring in the next 1,000. We're going to keep doing this until you get the feeling.
Right. So if I'm to answer that question, I have to imagine for real us doing this.
Okay.
And part of the problem is that, and I know this may sound like an excuse, but part of the problem is that I'm not really that interested in it. I don't really, there's really nothing I can do with this, even though I'm at 75% confidence of this, and this comes once in a blue moon. This feeling, comes, well, whatever, once in a decade or something like that. The problem is I'm really not that much. I have no vested interest in this. That's my problem. So I would probably
you would be bored.
I would be bored. I would lose patience. I would try. I don't know. I knowing myself, I might try, different things just for the heck of it, So
This is a really interesting idea, because I guess the concept of this ability intrigued you enough to want to explore its, the reasons of your belief in our conversation. But now I'm hearing you say, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, but
Well, let me ask you this. This is a big question. Do you want to believe true things?
yes,
Does the truth of a belief matter to you?
sure.
Does the truth of this belief matter to you?
Not a lot, but it does matter. Yes. Because it's not consequential. It's not gonna, I'm not gonna make a decision about.
Well, I kind of beg to differ, because
Okay.
imagine that this is real, that you can do this. We don't have a mechanism for this. What if this is the thing that leads to the grand unified theory of physics? This could be a new force of nature, Miro. This could
Yeah.
power interstellar travel.
Yes, and it
who
all
knows? Who knows what this could lead to?
and it's all because I started it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
And maybe if we studied it, we could find out that everybody has this ability. But what you need is some sort of situation that your life has led you to. And it's not just about astrological symbols. Maybe it's about other things. Like, I feel like this is not an inconsequential belief.
Well,
you believe you have information that you were not given. I mean, is that a fair
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how that could come to be is inherently interesting.
Well, I can tell you one thing about how that came to be, with me at least.
Okay.
And I was really, I want to again be very clear about this. It really hinges on some of my internal feelings. When you're talking with somebody, you might get these fleeting feelings. You might get a feeling of maybe for a moment you became a little bit annoyed with
Sure.
them, or maybe they said something that impressed you a little bit. But these kind of happen many times in a day, and they're fleeting, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And especially in when I was younger, there would be situations when I would notice this feeling about somebody else. And then I started playing with this idea that this might be related to the zodiac, because it was, astrology or your astrological sign is something that people just share with one another, as a entertainment maybe, and whatever.
Sure.
But then I asked myself, well, what can I can I see any kind of commonality? And this is where it started, me kind of paying attention to some of these internal feelings, whether it's the dissonance that I feel when somebody says something, or maybe a little bit of an admiration that I feel for how they said it, and I go, wow, I really wish I could say it that way, or I was that way, or in that situation, or something like that. And so I guess it was, from that perspective, I guess it was interesting to think about it, for me, and to maybe look around why this might be the case. Why do I feel a certain way? And that might be consequential. I'll say that's as far as I could get. But again, I have less interest in it now. I don't have a strong maybe I don't have either a strong reaction to people because I get older. I'm less conflicted about what other people say or do, and I'm less willing to maybe less given to admiration of somebody or things like that. So it kind of went down a little bit in terms of interest in general, if any. So I know this is not the and I forgot by now how you phrased the question, because but you were talking, is this significant? And I'm still thinking, how significant can this be? And this was the only thing that I could think really that it is significant, other than having the grandiose ideas that because, if this is true, this is now going to lead to some big scientific discoveries or anything like that. It's hard also because and I recognize this. It's hard for anybody else to accept this because it is a subjective feeling. I'm not really talking about anything objective here. I try to be very careful when I say this. It's not that I'm noticing an objective characteristic of somebody, and then I say, okay, that person must be an Aries, for example. It's more of I have this subjective feeling, which perhaps started as maybe some very minor nuances in terms of either dissonance or admiration, and then subsequently kind of showed up in a few occasions as very strong feelings. This must be an Aries speaking or sitting or something like that.
I don't want to talk to you about a belief that you don't find interesting or that you don't find consequential. But I want to ask you then, right? You said that it's important for you to believe true things. Is that right?
Yes.
And perhaps this particular belief isn't super important. That's what I'm hearing you say.
It's not that it's not important whether it's true or not. I guess I would really want to know if let's say there's a way for me to find out that I was completely wrong and this is a belief that's false belief. I would really want to know that.
Unless the process of doing so would be laborious.
Yes, because there's the cost benefit. I mean, I mean, it's a dormant belief. Let's put it that way.
That's interesting. A dormant belief. I like that.
Yeah.
So then my question is, could we look at this as a test case for your general epistemology, right? Like, can we use the mechanism that you're using to come to this belief as a reliable way to come to beliefs about other things? Maybe things that are more consequential. So let's say someone comes to you and says that they have a strong belief about some important political topic, and they've arrived to it because of strong feelings they had 3 or 4 times, and they think that it happened more than chance.
So the question is
that a reliable way to come to knowledge? Would you trust them?
No, probably not.
Should you trust yourself?
So if it is something that's consequential, right, I would have to examine it a little bit more. So let's put it this way. Suppose it's a life and death situation. I'm now going to really imagine a scenario. Okay. It's a life and death situation, and somehow me having a feeling that let's say a premonition, not about zodiac, but a premonition.
Something bad is going to happen or something like that.
Yes, the guy is going to pull a gun out of his pocket and he's going to shoot me.
Yeah, but you have the option to attack him first.
But I have the option to attack him first. I think that would be a very, very important one to then decide. But I would have to decide on the spot what to do. And
maybe you don't have to decide on the spot. Maybe we can talk about it before this happens.
But this is what I think I would decide on the spot. I would try to somehow neutralize the threat, the possibility that something has happened, that something like this could happen. So rather than me attacking him and shooting him, for example, I might run away from that situation. And if I was wrong, I was wrong, but I had this strong feeling and I'm just going to run away.
I hear you. But at the risk of, maybe making this scenario too concrete, what if you only have 2 options? Shoot or don't shoot? right? And this person, you have the strong feeling that this person is threatening either your safety or the safety of your loved ones.
I
And
don't think
you,
it's a good example
why's
because
that?
even so, let's say there is a scientifically reliable information that there's like an 80% chance that this, not a feeling, it's not based on feeling, but I'm just now changing the example a little bit.
Okay.
There's a scientifically reliable
Let's say he holds a gun up and you see it and he says, I'm going to shoot you.
sure, no, I understand, but again, no, let's come back to, he has a hand in his pocket. I don't want to change
Okay.
too many variables at once, so
Okay.
I want
I'm just
to
trying to make it as like there's a first question is would you shoot somebody
so
if
that's the problem,
if they threatened your life? Yeah.
so let's say there's like an 80% chance that that this person really holds the gun. Would I want to, and he intends to shoot me, for example, would I want to make the decision to shoot him and live the rest of my life
Yes.
with the knowledge that I have shot, and perhaps 20% chance, an innocent man? That's a that's a I think that's a moral dilemma which I don't know how to answer. The only thing that I can say is I would decide to do something at that point, and I don't know what that would be.
Let's change the scenario. It's not a life or death situation. It's betting on the stock market.
Okay.
And 3 times in the past, you've had strong feeling
Yes.
that a certain stock is going to go up. And then when you check the paper afterwards, the next day, the next week, it went up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question is, let's say you get this, 3 years later, you get this strong feeling again. And you go, oh, boy, the 3 times that I've had this feeling before, I was right. How much money should you put after this feeling?
I like how you asked the question, how much money, because I can easily say $1,000. Sure, I would throw in $1,000 in that point, and the thing about the stock market is that is whatever the market's, telling us, that is the fair price on that day at that moment. So in any case, that $1,000, even if I was completely wrong, has a chance of still remaining $1,000, right? But if you ask me how much money would I mortgage my house,
Right.
and dump everything I own,
Right.
to that? No.
Why not?
Again, it's that would be a ruinous loss for me, and I would probably go somewhere maybe a little bit more than $1,000, but not as high as to not be able to live myself and regret it for the rest of my life.
Okay.
If I lost it.
This is maybe too mathematical, but you said that you were 75% confident, right? Would you take a bet where I put up $25 and you put up $75? That stock will rise?
Will rise, and
and
that's
so
a good way of asking it.
So I would put up 250 and you would put up 750, something like that.
Yeah, for a smaller sum, I would certainly do that.
Is it fair to say you're 75% confident while also saying you wouldn't do it for 10,000?
Like 10,000 of my money?
Yeah, well, so yeah, I'm terrible at arithmetic, but let's say I put up 2,500 and you put up 7,500. would you consider that a fair bet?
Um, might be fair to me. I don't know about you.
Well, right, to tell you where I'm coming from, I would definitely take that bet.
Okay.
So I feel like it's quite
But remember,
fair.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything here.
I don't mean to make it combative. I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to understand what it means for you to be confident or not about this belief. I hear you saying that you're 75% confident, and so I'm trying to investigate exactly what that means. Maybe the numbers are too specific. You're just quite confident.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's interesting that you might be hesitant to take a bet like that. I wonder why.
Um, I'll tell you why. There's two reasons why I might be hesitant. So first is, remember, I tried to do the tests with this belief of mine.
Okay.
When I tried to perform at will.
Right.
And it didn't work for me. Right. I mean, I couldn't do it at will.
In this scenario, you've had the feeling.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
However, there is also that the awareness in this scenario that there is some real monetary consequence involved. And I know this may sound like a cop-out.
Okay.
But I feel that would somehow create noise for me. It's one thing when I get this feeling and it really means nothing to me. It's like this is one of the things that that I can tell you about this feeling. When I have this feeling, this strong, when I've had it, okay, let's put it that way. It was really, neither, for me, it was completely irrelevant. And I think that there's something about not being completely unfettered with anything that's part of how this feeling arises. Does that make sense?
Sure. But we can work that into the hypothetical, right? You've had this feeling independent of me, and then you tell me about the feeling. You say, oh, remember that conversation we had? I had that feeling last night.
Yes.
And I go, oh, that's interesting. What was it about? And you say, I saw this woman walk across the room, and I just knew she was an Aries. And I say, oh, would you be interested in making a wager? Now you've already had the feeling. You've had the pure, unadulterated feeling.
Yes.
And now I'm coming in and I'm adulterating it. Does that change something?
So the second part of hesitation is that in that scenario, so let's say now I have this ability, it's completely unadulterated. I like how you phrase it, because at that point when I had the feeling, I didn't even know, let's put it this way, I didn't even know that you were going to come up later and say, I'm going to take that bet.
Yeah.
I might think that it's not fair to you that I do this bet. So
you'd be protecting me from losing money.
Yes.
But that's fine. What I'm hearing is that you would be comfortable ignoring how much you care about me, but you would be okay with the bet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we imagine this other person who came to you and said, I have this feeling sometimes about stock market picks. I was right 3 times. I'm 100% sure I was right 3 times. There may have been some other times, but I don't think I would have forgotten them. And I've just had this feeling. I was just sitting here and I had this feeling that Apple stock is going to go up today. And so I've decided to mortgage my house. Would you caution him?
Yes,
Why?
because it's a ruinous loss for them.
But he's had this feeling. I mean, he's quite confident that he can make a 25-75 bet.
Well, I don't know. His feeling, my feeling. I mean, we're not talking about objective things.
I feel like that's a little bit of a cop-out to say that these aren't objective things, because these are quite easily testable things, right? Like, we can look at the newspaper and see if the stock goes up tomorrow. We can...
No, true. But the feelings that you're talking about, he says, I have feelings. I have no way of knowing how good his feelings are.
But he's explained to you, he's had this happen 3 times. He can identify the feeling. It's very clear.
But Chucky, let me put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
If we just reverse the roles a little bit.
Okay.
And if I was in your shoes and I was hearing myself saying everything that I'm telling you,
yeah,
I wouldn't say that there's a 75% chance that people are, that people can predict day of the week or the zodiac sign, or that it's possible to do that prediction, because that doesn't convince me. So similarly, somebody else saying, I had this feeling, and, saying they're going to mortgage their house and tomorrow they could lose everything, lose their house.
right.
I would strongly caution them still. Primarily because, again, even with my feeling, it would be a ruinous loss. And secondly, because I really don't know what they mean by this feeling, because it's their subjective feeling.
Okay, I think this is great. So here's what I'm hearing. You don't think that this experience should be enough to convince someone else. You don't think that it should convince me.
Correct.
But there's something about this feeling that convinces you.
Correct.
Do you think feelings are reliable ways of finding out things about the world? Could you imagine someone who has as strong a feeling as you've had and be wrong?
So which question do you want me to answer?
I feel like they're the same question, which is I'm just trying to restate it. But if they're different questions to you, feel free to pick one. Do you think someone can have as a feeling as strong as you've had and be wrong about it?
Yes, 25%. It's possible.
Okay, 25%. Okay. So I'm going to try to restate it. Your claim is that people who have feelings as strong as yours are justified in their belief at 75% confidence. Is that correct? That the strength of the feeling is a good indicator of how reliable that method is.
So this comes back to the question how you asked it the first time, which is this a reliable way to gain knowledge about the world?
Okay.
Are feelings reliable as a method for gaining knowledge?
Yeah.
And of course, the first thought is to say they're not reliable because they're subjective. If we're seeking objective truth, then there has to be something. But that said, there are many things that we do throughout our daily lives when we make decisions based on feelings. You may see somebody's face and interpret it a certain way, and that causes a certain feeling in you, and
This
Therefore,
person looks like a dick. I'm going to be short with him.
right, right,
Yeah.
or something like that. Exactly. So, and maybe that's not right towards the other person, but it's your decision, and you've made your decision, and you've made your um, you've made your bed,
Okay.
if you wish. So certainly, from that perspective, generally speaking, feelings do play into our decision making. But as a way of finding objective knowledge or scientific knowledge in the world, unless they're controlled through like controlled experiments and things like um, things that aim to perhaps expose certain things about how people feel or correlation between their feelings and facial expression, something that's like, well defined. It's hard for me to think on the spot now of an example where just having a feeling about something is a way to find knowledge. I think I make a distinction between knowledge and intuition. I think very often we do have intuition. Very often somebody will say, let's for example, let's use this algorithm to find what prime numbers exist.
Okay.
And you immediately get a gut feel, ooh, that might not be the right way.
Yeah.
But then you explore it further. Then you try to rationalize it. Then you try to, and perhaps through the process of trying to rationalize it, you come out and you say, okay, actually my gut feel was wrong. Now I'm okay. Now I'm comfortable with it. Let's proceed.
Have you ever had the experience where you felt super confident that a strategy would work, and then you came to find out that it didn't?
I probably have, yes, many times, probably. Maybe not that many, but yes.
Even though the feeling was strong.
Wait.
If I had asked you, so if I imagine yourself in the past when you had one of these strong gut feelings about a proposed algorithm, right? And someone says, how about we do this? And your gut just screams, oh, what a beautiful idea. This idea is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the number you would associate there, like whether you say 90% confident, 75% confident, 60% confident, do you feel like that number is actually correlated with how often it's correct?
Possible, yes.
You believe that it's correlated. Do you believe that it's the same? Like when you say 90% of the time it works.
So I'm a little bit lost in the question here. You're saying the question is, if I have a very strong feeling, what a beautiful algorithm, that's exactly the way to do it. It's going to work beautifully.
Yeah.
And then what is the percentage there?
So do you think that is going to wind up working most of the time? I mean, I guess I'm asking you, how good is your gut?
Yeah, it's good for some of these algorithm things. Yes.
Do you think that has to do with your technical knowledge?
Yes.
Do you have technical knowledge about zodiac?
Other than the, like there's 12 of them. And
do you think that might be a significant difference then between the feeling and the correctness, the feeling and the correctness?
Yes.
So, okay, so just to step back a little bit, here's what I heard. I heard you drawing a distinction between the idea that I have a really strong feeling that there's methane on Mars. Right? I heard you saying that that's probably not a good way to come to that knowledge.
Correct.
Okay. And I heard you saying that, on the other hand, if it's a feeling about something subjective, if it's feeling about how I should treat somebody, or what this person is going to maybe be like, it's okay to come to that knowledge through this feeling. That there are two different kinds of beliefs, two different kinds of results. Is that right?
But I didn't quite say that.
Okay. All right.
Although,
Help
if
me.
you ask me,
Correct me.
I mean, when I was talking about we make a decision throughout the day, this was just general based on our, split second decision making, that we do.
Sure.
Somebody says,
should I take the elevator or the stairs?
right, or somebody says, hey, give me $1, and
Okay,
you have to make a
you
decision.
have to decide. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, in many things you take into consideration, because it could be, if it's a person in front of you in the register, for example, at the cash register, and they're short, and you really want to get to your car, fast, and
you might
want
just give them $1.
just give them $1, move out of the way, as opposed to somebody else who's just trying to bum $1 from you, right?
But I feel like those. So maybe we're in agreement here. Those things don't really have right or wrong answers. There's no question you could ask to test whether that was the correct response.
Yeah.
But there are very easy questions to test whether or not you got someone's zodiac symbol. So I'm not quite sure I see the analogy there.
No, there's no analogy. I was just
okay. Sorry.
Okay. Let me not rehash the previous discussion. I think your question now is not about what I said before, but I want to take your question and answer it. Which is, you were saying that there are certain things that we can have knowledge about, like technical things, where gut feeling and intuition is based in large part on experience and maybe some technical skill, innate ability that are technical.
Like a chemist who works in cosmology, if he had a gut feeling about what the atmosphere on Mars was, I might trust that more than some person who knows nothing about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that.
Does that do anything to temper your confidence? No.
Well, maybe I'm a split personality. Yeah, look, in general, I mean, again, I told you, maybe this is not going to be interesting to you, this whole conversation, but it was interesting to me because this really shouldn't matter and it really shouldn't happen. But because there were these strong feelings that I had, I cannot just discount them. Let's put it that way.
Could you think of another reason why you had this experience other than an innate gift to intuit this information?
Well, I can't even consider that the innate gift is a reason that I would think.
So I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but could you think of a more innocuous or less mysterious reason why you've had this experience?
Let me answer it this way.
Okay.
If there suddenly came to light certain findings about humans which could explain the relationship between, zodiac sign and one's perception of someone's zodiac sign. I think that would be something where I might say, oh, okay, so now it's kind of starting to make sense to me. But short of that, I mean, everything else is me trying to guess some supernatural, existence of some supernatural things like innate ability to predict future or innate ability to guess the day of the week or anything like that. And I don't know.
So what I heard you say is that if you found out that there was a correlation, let's say, between personality or nose length or hair color, some sort of correlation between zodiac symbol and observable properties of humans.
Or how they relate, observable properties of how humans relate.
Right. Whether maybe through communication or through mannerisms or something like that.
Right.
That could be the explanation.
I mean, that could be the explanation.
Could you think of, so I'm asking you, can you think of any other explanations? Could it be chance?
I'm not sure why you're asking. It feels like you're asking the same question.
Could it be chance that you were right 3 times?
Could it have been chance? So I guess it could have been chance, but the thing is that I had this feeling. I keep coming back to this feeling. I'm getting a little bit. I think this is, we're not getting. I feel like we're not really getting anywhere, and maybe that I'm even putting up resistance, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not. But anyway, so because there is a feeling that's associated before I make the prediction, and it was really nothing to me. It doesn't really matter to me whether this person is Aries or not. At that point, it's not just a matter of whether it was a chance. What screams for explanation is, what about that feeling? So how could it be that there is such a strong feeling? And if it was that completely unrelated to, let's say I have a strong feeling and then nothing happens over here, the prediction turns out false, then I would say that's fine. But I guess maybe I can answer your question this way. If I think about how likely is it that I have this strong feeling as a one independent event or a probability, and then how likely is it that I'm right, and then I combine them, could it have been a chance? Well, yes, I can calculate the probability that it was chance, but I think that probability would still be less than 25%. Because remember, 3 times, let's say, I have this feeling. And these are the 3 times that I remember. And 3 times I make the prediction that has a 1 of 12 chance of succeeding.
Sure.
Now, remember I said maybe there were some cases when I had the strong feeling and I have forgotten about them, and
you said it's possible.
I'm saying it's possible. But if you just do the probability, 1 over 12, and that's like 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.8. even if it's just 2 times, again, 0.8 times 0.8, that's less than 1%. So that would make it 1% chance that it's just chance. More than 99% that it's not a chance. So I discount that a little bit and I come down to 75, I guess.
I'm thinking about all the feelings that people have throughout their life. I'm wondering if maybe that should figure into the calculations. If you're really going to use statistics to sort of as part of the reason for your confidence, because I personally, right, have had strong feelings. Boy, today is going to end in disaster. And if you asked me how confident I was, I probably would have said, I am very confident. And then the day didn't end in disaster. Now, because of that, I don't go around claiming I can guess when days are going to end in disaster. But if I've had that kind of feeling in enough domains, one of the domains I'm going to wind up being lucky at.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if the same is true for you. And now you think of yourself as someone who in the past was good at guessing astrological sign, but you don't really think of yourself as someone who's good at guessing, something else, because in fact, those times you failed.
Well, actually, but first of all, I don't think myself as someone who was in the past good at guessing astrological signs, because if it happened like 2 or 3 times, in my life, I mean, how good is that? I mean, you once in a decade.
Yeah. Sorry I'm not trying to state the claim more strongly than you're saying it.
Yeah. That's okay. I just,
yeah.
I know you care about the communication, and I'm just trying to make sure that we're communicating, that we're on the same page. So is it possible that there were many other areas in my life in which I've had strong feelings and I have not been as successful as this one? So as to
how
then
many
say,
areas? Oh, sorry. But how many areas could you have made 3 guesses in? And then sort of focused on the one where those 3 guesses worked out.
Right. It's a good question. I would have to think about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like we've explored quite a bit. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Anything that maybe caught your attention that you want to talk about more?
We haven't really talked about, and I don't know how much this matters, but we haven't really talked about the fact that the astrology is really present in the society. And I would say that I am, again, basing my belief on a personal experience. But at the same time, I have skepticism about somebody else reading a zodiac chart and telling somebody something. And I also must say that that is almost like a thing that I don't want to hear much about because of this belief that I have, because it creates a conflict in me. Because if it's possible, if I allow that it's possible that it's okay to guess somebody, that it's possible to guess somebody's zodiac sign better than chance, that's tantamount to saying there's something about astrology.
Okay.
And given that I have this belief, when I hear people making zodiac charts or making predictions or reading somebody's zodiac charts, and especially if it's me, I don't feel very easy about it.
So maybe I'm not quite understanding, but are you saying that you're sort of uncomfortable about zodiac's presence in society? That the conflict comes from your skepticism about zodiac, in addition to your belief that there's something to your predictive ability?
Well, let's put it this way. It's present in the society, but
Okay.
where I get uncomfortable with is when it comes to me. So in the past, if somebody was to tell me something about myself based on, let's say, reading a zodiac chart or saying something like that, it would throw me for a spin because I would be conflicted about it.
Can you be more explicit about throw you for a spin? You would be uncomfortable with it, but why? But why?
So first of all, it's a gross. It's very reductionist to, let's say, there's 12 types of people, in the world, and there's 12 possible fates, So you open the newspaper and you say, today
there's
Aries
12 predictions. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 12 predictions. Exactly. So everybody who's Aries, sorry, your day is going to suck today. Right.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're saying you don't find that compelling.
Correct.
Okay.
But then there are people who do this, for entertainment, for a living, and they look at everything like this planet, this house. I don't know. I didn't get into that. I really don't claim to know much about it. And then they refine these kind of things, and they make such maybe statements that are perhaps more refined, so that they're not really reductionist about anybody else, and they're not simplifying.
But they still involve the state of the cosmos at the time of birth.
Right. Yes. So my point is, what makes me uncomfortable is if somebody, let's say, reads my zodiac chart and tells me, well, this is who you are, even if they say this is who you are, or this is something about you, this says something about you, I'm uncomfortable with that, because I'm immediately given to thinking, what if that's true? What if that is really the case? But this, person who read my zodiac chart said it.
And that's scary.
Well, yeah, and perhaps it's scary. Yeah, perhaps it's scary just because on a superficial level, that's like everything's predetermined, and I have no free will. But not. It's not just about that. It's more about, now I have this really big conflict in me. On the one hand, there's this belief that I have that's tantamount to saying there's something in the zodiac. And on the other hand, I have somebody who's saying something that at face value, not considering this belief, I would say that's just entertainment. I'm not going to pay much attention to what they're saying. but then there's this belief, and I have this conflict, and it's hard to reconcile it. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because it's one of these things that I'm sometimes struggling with.
One of the things that struck me is, I think you said readily, right, that it's hard to imagine that there's 12 paths.
Yeah.
Do you think that all of the people born at the same time have similar lives?
I don't. And by the way, this is maybe not something you care to know about, but zodiac is not just born at the same time, but born at a certain place with respect to which the planets are aligned certain way.
Sure,
So,
but we could pick right a specific hospital, and there's going to be babies born right at the same time in the same place.
yes.
Do you think that they're going to have similar lives?
I don't, but that's I just wanted to clarify. It's not just the time, it's also time and place.
Sure. I hear that you're concerned about me getting the process of astrology correct. But you still I think I hear you dismissing the idea that these people born in the same wing, the same room of the same hospital,
right,
at the same
time,
right, are going to have lives that have anything to do with one another.
I dismiss that.
Yeah, but yet you feel conflicted.
And again, the reason why I feel conflicted is because there is this doubt that I have, because if I do have this feeling that there is some relation between zodiac and how I perceive other people, how I could perceive other people, right? In some cases, not in all the cases, but in some cases, then that still means that there could be something to it. And so that's how it is. Yeah.
Even with the clarification you made about time and place, it sounds like it's still a machine where you input the time and the place and it cranks out a prediction.
Yeah, that's, well, I mean, I don't know details about it, but people who read these zodiac charts, then right, that part is deterministic. You input time and place, and then the placement of planets in various houses, or better yet, the space in the angle at which the planet is compared to the rest of the universe, to the sun, to Earth, and so on and so forth. That part is deterministic. How people then interpret it, that's now
sure. But I'm hearing you say it's kind of hard to believe that those two things determine very much about a person's life.
Anything about a person's life, yes.
Anything about a person's life.
Yes.
And yet this belief about your predictive ability is causing a conflict, that you're questioning the ease at which you dismiss astrology. Am I getting this correct?
The conflict is stronger when it comes to me personally, because if somebody comes and reads my zodiac chart and tells me something,
based on the time and place at which you were born,
right, that's when the conflict arises. That's a stronger conflict. Just like, I mean, if somebody tells me something about you, I'll say, well, okay, maybe, but it's your life, so it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah. How do you feel about this conflict?
Very conflicted.
do you see any resolutions?
Yes. Perhaps what I should do is I should try to educate myself to become a zodiac chart reader, and that would resolve my conflicts about it, you know. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, perhaps the best option for me is to simply not look at that, not have somebody look into my zodiac charts and not tell me anything, you know. If it was you know, some other form of entertainment where I didn't have this belief, I think I would be more comfortable.
Confident dismissing it.
Yeah.
Reading tarot cards, for example.
Perfect. Reading tarot cards, even things that people say about Chinese zodiac. That one's like one. Everybody who's born in the same year, or Chinese astrology, I forgot. Chinese horoscope.
Yeah. I was born in the year of the so and so. Yeah.
Yes. That one I'm not, you know, conflicted about, but so this one I am.
I think what's really interesting is because of feelings that you've had, strong feelings, your thought process actually winds up being conflicted, even though you see astrology as being highly unlikely. As unlikely as tarot, as unlikely as literally randomly dealing cards.
Yep.
I think there's something very interesting about how powerful feelings are, and I think it's just something to observe, something to note, how strong an effect feelings have on our thought processes.
Yes, but I would say that this is also a belief, not just a feeling, right? So if I have this belief that's based on the feeling, but yes, you're right.
The belief came about.
Correct. Which mainly
came,
yes,
primarily from the feeling. Yeah.
It came from the feeling, so that's like the data that was there, which I then combined with, you know, probability, what are the chances that I'm right, what are the chances, and this and that. So I came to this belief, and now I'm holding this belief. So, but yes, so now I have this belief that's based on the feeling, and that's what's giving me conflicts.
Yeah. I think maybe the big picture is, you know, is maybe the question we talked about as to, is this process reliable in general? Because it's easy to say, oh, you know, this ability, this happenstance, it's not very important.
Right.
But perhaps this kind of thing comes up in other circumstances. Maybe you see somebody and you think, oh, this person is an asshole. How dear should you hold that feeling?
Well, that's again that's a very simplistic jumping to kind of conclusions. My belief.
But if you feel strongly about it.
No. Let's. Yeah, I guess.
Have I misunderstood?
I think we've examined this, you know, with the hypothetical about the person with the gun, you know, in the pocket, and
sure.
So it's difficult to let's not go there. I think the problem is that these feelings are giving rise to the conflict. Yes, I mean, even if let's take tarot. If somebody, so I don't have a problem, you know, with, I don't believe that there's anything in tarot, but if somebody was reading, you know, tarot cards, and they said, for example, oh boy, something really bad is going to happen to you today. It's enough to make you doubt. It's enough to make me doubt. It's enough to make me kind of think multiple times in the day, you know, somebody told me, you know, something really bad is going to happen to me today. Just the whole just the process of understanding the sentence requires that I, in a way envision it, something bad happening today. And in a way agree with it. Just the process of understanding the sentence. And so that would give me, let's say, some uneasy thoughts throughout the day. But that's not everything that gives me conflict about, because when it comes to zodiac, there is this other belief that I have, and now it's like, boy, who knows? Maybe something will happen to me today. So bad will happen to me. So at that point, I wouldn't say if somebody looked at my zodiac chart and said, something bad will happen to you today, I wouldn't give it a 75% chance. But I might say, it's not a 1%, it's not a 0% either. It's more of a, I don't know, I have this other belief, and what if there really is something to it? I don't know. I mean, so that would give me a conflict. That's a conflicting situation for me.
Okay, well, I appreciate you taking the time to explain all this.
Okay.
I hope I was able to ask questions that helped you think through it.
You have, and I appreciate it. And I know that this was a long one for you, for sure, because it's not about you. I mean, I don't even know how you might find this interesting at all. But I appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, Miro.
Thank you, Chucky.